Hey guys, today we're going to go over how to set up multiple AI models in sequence with Lumeo. In addition to the AI models used in these demos, you can also upload models from other popular platforms like TensorFlow, PyTorch, RoboFlow, and so much more. Open up Lumeo console and let's begin. To start our work with cascading AI pipelines, we're going to want to head into the Design tab and press Create a Pipeline. Now we're going to use the basic detect objects pipeline as the default for our demos. So after we click on here, we can open up the nodes, and now you can see here that there are a few nodes that manipulate the video that we're going to be using. First is going to be the AI model node, which is the main node for this tutorial. You can use any of these ready-to-use models that are already pre-trained on Lumeo, but for this video, we're going to be using the vehicle detection, specifically from a high vantage point. And then we're going to save that and move on to the next node. The next node is a track objects node. Objects in this case are going to be the vehicles that the previous node detects. And then lastly, we're going to have the display stream info node. So it's going to take the metadata from both of these two nodes and display it in the final video on the stream that we look at. Now that we've finished setting up our pipeline and first AI model, we're going to head over into the Deploy tab and click Deploy Pipeline. And then from there, you're going to select the video source that you want to use. For this stream, we're going to use the mall parking stream, which I'll include in the description. From there, you're going to want to make sure that your gateway is ready. This is going to be the Lumeo trial gateway if you're using a free account, or a Lumeo ready gateway if you have one set up. Click on Trial Cloud Gateway, start immediately, and deploy it. Now it should only take about 5 to 10 minutes for this to fully deploy. I'll be back in a few moments when it's ready. Alright, now that the gateway is running, let's take a look at the output stream. It should only take a moment for this to load. Now that it's loaded, you can see that it's detecting each of the cars, and it's also recording each of the accuracy percentages right next to each car that it detects. Now, let's say we wanted to check for the color of each car as they are detected by the model. We're going to want to include another AI model in this pipeline. We're going to head into the settings for it and select another AI model. That is going to be the automobile color classification. And then to make sure that this model is able to classify the colors of each of the models of each of the cars detected in the previous AI model, we're going to click on Model Inference. So that's going to take the inferences from here and allow this AI model to do work on it. And then we're going to save, and then we will insert this node in between the track objects and vehicle detection node. And then we're going to head back in and perform the same steps to deploy it again. Now, similar to the first time, we're going to want to make sure that we also stop any of the previous deployments that were running before, and we can just delete them in between trials, just to make sure that it's not taking up more space on the gateway that we are using. Should only be a few more minutes. Alright, now that the gateway is running, let's take a look at the stream. Alright, now you can see that it's detecting each of the cars and is also including a color classification next to each one, as well as the confidence level for each of those classifications. Now notice that on the stream there's a lot of noise from the tags blocking the frame. So let's pick and choose the data that we want to include on our stream. Let's exit out of our stream and then head into the Design tab and back into the pipeline. From here, we're going to take a look at displaying stream information. And we're going to want to look at the different types of ways we can display. This is going to include displaying the frame rate, frame count, clock. We can also include text that is either static or variable. So let's just say we want to put text at the top of the video saying, "Hello, welcome to Lumeo." We can include that in there. And then if you wanted to include variable text, you can look at the node documentation that will be included in the display stream info node. We can also change which objects of the ones that we've detected are included here. So let's just say we only want to include cars, but we also only want to include white cars. So the way that these object type nodes work is that you'll have to have a car, or a object that you've identified, and then you will also need the attributes of that object also identified. And then you can insert them into these object types nodes that you can parse through. So let's just say you want to say, I want cars, and only white cars. So you go, right, your object, which is car, dot, and then the attribute, which will be white in this case. So let's include that right there. And then let's remove the display tracking node since they were a pain last time. And then you can also display specific metadata and manipulate it in other ways. That you can look into the node documentation for. Let's just save the stream and head back in and deploy. Now that we've altered our pipeline to show only white cars, let's check out the stream. And as you can see here, it's got fairly decent accuracy on each of the different cars. It can't tell very well from the vantage point, but it's only showing at the very least the white cars that it can see here. You can also tell that we were able to include our message at the top, hello, welcome to Lumeo, and there's significantly less noise in here because we removed the display tags node. I noticed that on the last shot there were some gray cars being counted as white cars, so let's increase the confidence level such that there are fewer false positives. Let's head back into the color classification node and then head down to enable the inference threshold. So from here you can change the minimum threshold or the percentage that we saw earlier. So let's choose it to be around 70 or so. So that way if the model is 70% accurate, then it will display the bounding boxes around each of the cars. Then we'll just need to save it and head back in and redeploy. Now you can see that the model is only including the white cars and none of the gray cars from before. Let's add one last node, a line counter node. Now we're going to include that here and stick it in between the track objects and the overlay stream information. And then let's move this over here, zoom out a little bit, we can see everything. And then we're going to first head into the node, click on the video source, which is going to be that mall parking, and then it should load relatively quickly, and then you're going to want to put a line here, and we're just going to make a line through which the cars would be crossing. So pathway kind of looks like that, and that should be fine. And then from there we're going to select the objects to track. Similar as the previous, you're going to write out the object that you want to track, that being the car, put a period, and then we're going to say we only want white cars as our attribute. We're going to click that, and then everything else should be good. If you want to label which direction you care about, you can. It doesn't really matter too much for this video. So we're just going to save that and then redeploy. Now you can see whether a car has crossed and whether or not they contribute to the total. And as you can see, that car that just passed through wasn't a white car, so it didn't include to the line count. To go over what we learned, when using an AI model, make sure to look at the documentation to ensure that it is being used correctly and in the correct order. You can chain models together by using a node to infer the previous node. There are two types of nodes that include AI models for Lumeo: recognition and rules nodes. Those nodes are further broken down into nodes that detect and nodes that can classify. Using metadata extracted by each AI model, you can manipulate how it is shown on the final stream and which objects are important depending on their attributes. Thanks for watching. Click on any of the videos on the screen if you want to learn more about Lumeo.